This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
So we're starting to get into the full spring fever. Then the flowers start to spring into effect. And then it's vacation season. Start planning for the trips. You and your wife, Amy, you guys have actually done, you took off. You've done, I think you said you were in Jamaica for a little while.
Yep.
And did a Turks and Caicos trip.
Yep.
You're good about finding
and then
the warm weather.
Spring break.
There it is. Spring break.
Listeners
that's
are
right.
like, oh yeah, okay. Listen, this guy, he's gone more than he's in the office.
No, you do good about building in the time with your family.
Yeah.
Disney is now your girls are older, so the Disney trips are not as relevant for you and your family. But you've spent some years in Disney. You listening to us on the radio. If you're in retirement, maybe you have the idea, the dream in your head about wanting to take your kids and grandkids on a Disney adventure. Well, we're here to just give a little perspective and make sure that
was like the first time I went. My dad's dad rented a charter bus. This was back in the 80s, I guess it was. And we went down to Disney and that was kind of like my first experience. And then, when my girls, starting when they were probably 1 and 3, we would go multiple times every year. Yeah. And it was probably their favorite memories growing up.
The power of the House of the Mouse. And I will say, with taking little kids to Disney, seeing it through their eyes, it's very magical. And as proven, 50 million people visit Walt Disney World every year, Brandon. One of them is comedian Jim Gaffigan. And he was talking to Conan O'Brien about how it's not exactly his idea of a great vacation. This is Jim Gaffigan.
And I know there's a lot of people that love Disney, and I just want them to know they're wrong. And I should know. I've been multiple times, and I realize Disney is like, for me, it's like jalapenos. I never learn. I always think I can handle it, and then a couple hours later, I wish I was dead.
No.
Okay, so let me share some memories of ours going down there. I can remember every time we get down there, especially the first day of vacation, right? You go down there and, if you're staying on property, you get these extra magic hours. So you can go there early. You can get in before the general public.
Got it.
Right. So you get an early access. Let's go. You get in there and you can't run when they open the gates. So you're speed walking. You get this speed walk going. Okay. And you're going fast, like, hurry. Okay, girls, picture by the castle. Okay. Now, we head to the first ride. You knock that one out, right? And then maybe a second ride, maybe your third ride. And then it's like, right?
The record scratch.
Then you're an hour into it and the floodgates open and all the people come in.
Oh, then the rest of the general public is allowed that has tickets.
Yes, and now the wait times turn into 90 minutes.
Got it.
212 minutes. I'm like,
212 minutes for a ride?
Yeah.
That's
they keep it in minutes.
4 hours. They keep it in minutes because nobody wants to see 4 hours.
Yeah. And so then, then you start complaining, arguing. And so we're like, let's just go back to the resort and go sit by the pool. So think about that. You've paid all this money to now you just want to go sit at the pool because you don't want to with the lines and the heat and everything. And it just you start second guessing your whole reason for going down there.
And yet you and your family found yourself down there 3 or 4 times a year when the girls were little?
A year, yes.
And did it happen to you every time where you were standing there going, why do we continue doing this? No.
Yeah, that's why I started doing Disney Cruise.
Okay, Disney Cruises, okay.
I'll plug Disney Cruise because, you can go sit there and sit your rear end on a chair and the kids are just running around on the boat and doing things. And you're not having to run crisscross the park and walk 8 miles every day.
Yeah, got it.
So yes, I would just do it to myself again. It's crazy.
Got it. Well, in the way of making mistakes and then forgetting, and then we come back to them. It doesn't start and stop with our travel habits, Brandon, because apparently we can make the similar mistakes with our money habits. That's where you come into play. You can act as the guard against the bad money habits that we will make. This is a terrible idea. And then we forget and we go back to it again and again. That's what I wanted to ask you about. With saving, with investing, with retirement planning, Are there mistakes that you see people, they'll make, they forget, they go back to it because they forgot about the downsides? And how do you help somebody avoid remaking the same mistakes over and over?
Yeah. Well, maybe I don't see a lot of the going back to it over and over mistakes. What I see a lot of are the big ones, right? If they make a big mistake, or maybe they come in for a meeting, sit down with me, and I'm able to help them avoid a big mistake or regret.
Okay.
I've talked about rocking chair regrets or, retirement regrets, if you will. So I guess let me talk about some of the big ones that I hear a lot. People say, "Oh, Brandon, we were just going to blah, blah, blah," and I'm like, time out, stop. Can we go back to what you just said, right? Okay. So one of the first things would be the risk of that risk has worked before with your retirement account. Okay. You staying too aggressive in retirement.
Okay.
Risking your life savings. And I'm talking about 70, 80%, 90% of your portfolio is still in growth stocks.
Yeah.
Okay. So after, long bull markets, yes, we've had a great 15 years. If you look back the last 10 years, last 15 years of the S&P 500, you might go, well, Brandon, look, the market only goes up. Look at all this growth here. Well, you could take that risk back then when you were 50 and 55, and now you're 60, maybe you're 65 now. And we have got to thank the Lord. We haven't had a major crash right now, but now is the time to call time out, start getting a more reasonable, balanced portfolio. Okay. So you can't take that risk too far into retirement. The next big thing would be, I would say, spending too much too early once you retire.
Okay.
Because it's like every day Saturday now, right? We're retired. Both of us are retired. Brandon, we're going here. And I love a great vacation, obviously, many of them. And I want you to do them within the budget, within the plan here.
Yeah.
And don't think, oh, budget, that's boring. No, we can budget $2,000 a month to go towards trips. Just tell me, right? And so we just got to make the math work.
Yeah.
All right. So spending too much too early.
Okay.
Because then you start spend. And then you go, oh, what did we just do?
Yeah.
We got to really cut back and things. So we can get ourselves into a pickle there if we're not watching that spending.
Okay.
Here's one that I seriously, like every first meeting, we talk about this, and that is the temptation to delay Social Security, because that's kind of the vibe, what you hear now.
Everybody's like, if you delay, you're going to have this much more.
Yes.
It's a weird, it is a weird energy that
all these talking heads are like, delay till 70, delay till, and yes, that's the biggest check, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get the most money out of Social Security.
Right.
What if you live till 72?
Yep.
And you only got 24 months of that big check?
Yep.
Who's winning now? Well, the government won. Okay. You paid into it for 45 years and you got 24 months of income. So I want to help you find the soonest way to file for your Social Security without the earnings test getting you, right? So there's several things we got to factor in there, but then I want to start it.
Right.
Because I want you to be pulling on some of your income. I want the government to be paying you to retire, right? All these things, not like waiting on Social Security where we're having to draw down your stuff all the way down, and then there's nothing to pass on to the kids or the grandkids, things like that, right? So don't be tempted by, that just both of you waiting till 67 or you waiting till 70 or something like that. So let's really talk about Social Security and the best strategy there.
Okay.
Underestimating inflation. It hadn't really felt that obvious until lately.
Right.
For sure. And now you're like, oh my gosh, look at my electricity bill.
The grocery bills. I'll go to the grocery store.
Your electricity bill?
The electricity bill, see, we have a townhouse and there's just two of us. So
you just downsized.
Right. We downsized a little bit. But the grocery bill, I'll run to the grocery store. I'll buy just a couple of things, 10, 15 things, $125.
You're like, wait a second. What?
I didn't even buy, it's like, I didn't buy any detergent. I didn't buy wine, the big ticket items. No,
yes.
just
something.
a couple of dinners, worth of food, $125.
Yes. Water bills. I mean, just like things have just crept up.
Yeah.
And now it's like, so it's like, oh my God. So underestimating inflation is a big mistake. So we address that. But here's where I want to settle in for a minute.
Yep.
Is failing to adjust your plan over time. Okay. So this could be the thing where they repeated mistake that we were talking about. So maybe you continue to not adjust.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Maybe you've retired, and so now you're just kind of doing your same thing. You haven't really had a really in-depth meeting with your advisor in over 5 years, or maybe you're coming up on retirement and you really haven't had someone sit down and put an actual plan together. Mm-hmm. You know that your portfolio is still in growth mode, and it's growing in the good months and selling off hard, and you're like, it's so scary, right, in the bad months. So you haven't adjusted your plan. And so let me tell you about some clients that just became clients here recently. They're my most recent ones from West Ashley. Okay. So, and there's a little bit of an age gap here, which made their situation a little bit interesting. He's 68, she's 58. Okay. Mm-hmm. So 10 years apart, and they had been retired for several years. He had, of course, but they haven't made any changes in a long time. Okay. Mm-hmm. In fact, he still had some stock that his dad gave him. Okay. So he's had this stock, since dad passed away, for a long time. And there was over $500,000 in this one stock. Okay.
Yeah.
And luckily it had been paying some dividends. So they've been enjoying those dividends there, but the NAV, the stock value, the stock price has been going up and down. And like 3 months ago, it made 25%, but then this past month it lost 20%. And I was like, guys, I know this dividend, you love the dividend, but we have got to adjust. I mean, how does all that volatility make you feel?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, Brandon, I mean, that's the worst part of this. We like the income, but these big swings. And I was like, okay, well, we can diversify. We can better spread this money out and still achieve, that same 3.5-4% dividend that you've been getting, right? I mean, for them, a simple solution was our dividend stock portfolio. We've got a great dividend stock portfolio with Market Guard, where, it's 100 of the top 100 growth and dividend producers there. And so it's a lot. The stock he had is in our model, right? So he was happy to see, oh yeah, he's happy to see that in there. Yeah. But it was just, we're able to spread it out across multiple sectors, right? And still provide that same income that he was wanting. So for those clients, that was what was most important to them, was to quit avoiding making those same mistakes and where they haven't really addressed their portfolio. There were several other things. They had about 600,000 in low performing CDs. Okay. And so as those just matured here over the past 3 months, we were able to better deploy that money, right? So it's really taking a look at, what are you doing right now?
Yep.
And are there better options based on what you need this money to do?
Sure.
And you listening, you might have some pretty decent positions or holdings, but it might not really be designed for what you need at this age and stage of your retirement, right? If you're in a lot of these growth ETFs or growth stocks, things like that, and you're trying to pull income from that, it's like, as I've done work around the house here, if I'm trying to pull a nail out or something, if you don't have the right tool handy, have you ever tried to nail in something on
you end up hurting yourself. That's what I've learned.
Yes.
If you don't have the right tool and you are trying to do something that involves any kind of DIY around the house, injury, bruising, something will happen. For me,
yes.
At least.
I'm hammering with a stapler.
It's not a good idea.
Or a wrench.
No.
It's like you try to but it's downstairs, or I don't even have this tool, right? But we all know how much easier it is with the right tool.
Yeah.
With the right tool in your hands, it's a breeze. It's a no-brainer. And that's how new products come along. You're like, oh my gosh, that is perfect. I'm ordering that. I didn't know it could be that easy, So in retirement, I want you to think, okay, am I still walking around with tools that were built for when I was 40 years old, when I was 50 years old, and I'm still trying to double my portfolio? Yeah. Now, if I want stability, if I want peace of mind, if I want to be able to sleep 8 hours a night, knowing that we're going to be okay, that I've made the right decisions, she's going to be just fine. She's never going to run out of income. Or, ma'am, you might be thinking that you've made all the right. I want to be able to know that he trusted me to make these decisions. And we've got the right tools now for what we need at this age and stage. Well, that's what I want to help you see, because a lot of times clients, when they come in for these first appointments, they just didn't know that some of this other stuff existed.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You didn't even know. You didn't even know, like, oh, wow, that's really, really nice. I was just, I thought I just had to do whatever, so I want to help you see some of those things and see if they might be a good fit for you, and have this spring cleaning here. So if you've saved $500,000 or more, I want to invite you to pick up your phone right now and take advantage of the 5 slots that we open up every single week for you, our radio listeners and podcast listeners. I want you to pick up your phone. Our number is 843-890-2400. 843-890-2400. I've got Tanya. She's my assistant. She's standing by and she can't wait to talk to you. You can either text her or call her. If you want to text, just text the letters CRP. That stands for Customized Retirement Playbook. So that's what you need. You're feeling it. You just didn't know what it was called. It's a playbook, and it's customized to you and how, based on what you have. If you have a pension, Social Security, the size of your portfolio, the size of your expenses, right? It's all adjusted to, to complement what you're already doing, your specific situation. It's a customized retirement playbook. So again, pick up the phone, 843-890-2400. And I can't wait to get started on your very own retirement playbook.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth, LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. Market Guard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. Market Guard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.